The first hymn is You Are the Baby. Oh
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity Palo Alto as we begin our second live stream service. We're so glad that you're here with us this morning. We're going to begin with our opening song. So, Danielle, take it away.
I release and I let go. I let Spirit run my life. For my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let Spirit run my life. With my heart open wide. I am only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. A big round of applause. Well, welcome to Unity Palo Alto. Well, welcome to Unity Palo Alto. Unity is part of a worldwide movement of prayer, publishing, and education that helps people of all faiths apply practical spiritual principles in their lives. Principles that we could choose to apply in our lives every day to help us live a more joyful and abundant life. Unity is a spiritual movement, and our vision statement. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. And our vision statement. And our vision statement. And our vision statement. And our vision statement is. There it is. Just leave that up all the time. There it is. Just leave that up all the time. Our vision statement is. Our vision statement is centered in God. We co-create a world that works for all. Would you affirm that with me together? Centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. And we do this by applying our 5 core Unity principles. And our principles can be found. On our website. The first one is. There's only one presence and one power active in our life and in all the universe. God, the good omnipotence. And whether you call it God, isness, oneness, the universe or divine mind, it's that presence and power that is innate in every person. And that's our second principle. That you are created in the spiritual image and likeness of God. That presence and power fills you up. Not like a raisin in a bun hidden away somewhere, but like the ocean that's in the wave. That's how Spirit is within us. That's our second principle. And our third principle is what we call the law of mind action. That is, the things that we think about and give great attention to tend to be the lens through which we see our world and how we show up in the world. And so when we align our thoughts, our words, and our actions with that one presence and one power through the idea of prayer and meditation, we're able to become that creative expression of the divine that we were meant to be. That's the fourth principle. And finally, the fifth principle, the practical application. It's not enough to simply know these things. We must use them in our daily life. And there is no better time to use them than right now when you're trying to figure out how to do a live At this point in time, oh. Hi, welcome to Unity Palo Alto. Okay, so as you can see, we're still ironing out the kinks. This is the second time for us. And just to let you know that Unity is a worldwide movement of prayer, publishing, and education that helps people of all faiths apply practical spiritual principles that we can choose to apply in our life every day to help us live a more joyful and abundant life. We do that by applying our 5 core principles. And the first principle, God is. There's only one presence and one power active in our lives and in all the universe, God, the good omnipotence. And whether you call it God, isness, oneness, the universe or divine mind, or simply Spirit, that's the presence and power that is innate in the intelligence that is innate in every person and in all creation. Each of us is created with the spiritual image and likeness of God, and each of us has within us that divine essence, that truth of who we are. That's the core of us. And that's our second principle. The third principle is the law of mind action, That those things that we think about and give great attention to are how we show up in the world and how we see the world. And so when we align our thoughts, our words, and our actions with that one presence and one power, we have the ability to change our life and to change our world. And the most effective way to become aligned and available is through prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation allows us to connect with that creative, constructive power of God that works in, through, and as us. And finally, the fifth principle, the practical application. It's not enough to know these things. We must use them in our lives every day. We must make them a part of our life so that we can be that expression of who we're here to be. So we can allow that to flow through us. We do all this, and when we do this, we connect to our vision statement. And our vision statement is on the screen with me, and I invite you to affirm that with me. Together, centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all, and so it is. Now, this is our first or second time, so bear with us. But this is the time when we have a reading. Today I'm taking our reading from the little booklet provided by Unity that's called Fasting and Feasting for 2020. And the reading comes from an excerpt by Eric Butterworth. Reverend Eric Butterworth was one of the Unity's premier ministers and authors, and he said this: "No matter how unimportant what I do may seem to me, it could not be done in quite the same way without me to do it. I am important, for I am God's melody of life, singing itself into the continuum. The music of the spheres would not be complete without my voice." And so let us take that into our time of prayer as we set an intention for this morning. As we take a nice, deep, cleansing breath, I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or simply soften your gaze as we turn our attention from the outer experience to an inner experience where we know that divine essence, where we hear that song singing through us, singing as us, really singing us. And so our intention today is to simply let go and release all of the things that we're holding on to, all of the fear, all of the anxiety, for this one moment, so that we can renew ourselves with the divine presence of life, so that we can align ourselves with love, so that we can be that beautiful expression of the divine, singing ourselves into the world. And for that, we are joyfully grateful. We are richly, richly blessed, and we say thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen. Well, I'm playing the role of platform assistant today, as you can see, platform leader, rather. And now it's time for Reverend John to lead our children's lesson. So, Reverend John, will you lead our children's lessons? I'm very happy to lead our children's lesson.
In the light of God, we are walking in the light of God.
Thank you. So, I don't know if there are any kids here, but what we're going to do for all of the kids for our spiritual center and all of the kids that are of all ages in our hearts, we're going to read from the book that's not on the screen at the moment. Is it on? Oh, we are live. So we're going to read the book, I Am Love, a Book of Compassion. You know, maybe more than two people. Anyway, a Book of Compassion by Susan Verde and art by Peter Reynolds. I am love. Are you ready, kids? When I see someone going through a storm, of hurt and unfairness, of anger and sadness, when the sun disappears and the skies grow dark, and I see there is fear, I ask myself, what can I do to help the light back in? I put my hands together in my heart and listen. And that is where I find the answer. I have compassion and I act with tenderness. I am love. That's just an excerpt of this beautiful book. And I invite you to take a look at it later if you'd like. But kids, that's what you are. You are that expression of love. You can be that expression of love. And all you have to do is open your heart and think about, what can I do to help someone else when they're feeling sad, when they're feeling frustrated or scared? How can I be an expression of love to help those kids, to help my friends, to help my family, to help my parents especially, feel loved and feel uplifted? And so with that, whether there are kids in your room or not, in your house or not, what I invite us to do now is say our children's blessings so that we can bless all of the kids in our spiritual center, wherever they may be. We can bless all of the children in the Bay Area here and all of the children in the world by saying, you are God's perfect child. God and I love you just the way you are. And so it is. Well, there are a few things actually happening here at Unity Palo Alto. First off, after the service today, I'm going to host a spiritual coffee talk on Zoom. Again, this is the first time I've done this, so there might be a little hiccups, but hopefully we'll be able to get online. I heard from somebody that the method I was doing it was a little too complicated, so I changed it up. And hopefully after the service, you can click the link that's on the homepage, and we'll get together. We'll be able to see each other's faces and connect with each other. Also, I want you to know that for any news about what's happening at Unity Palo Alto, we are doing our best to send out information through our email newsletter. So if you're not signed up for that, please feel free to get signed up and you'll get the latest and greatest. And come to our website at unitypaloalto.org. Now, during this current situation with the coronavirus, we received notes from the Santa Clara County Health Department that said anything over 35 people should really be canceled unless certain protections go into place. Now, we've been one step ahead of the curve every day, and so the board met yesterday in a long meeting, and we decided, the best thing for us to do, because the health and well-being of our spiritual center and our spiritual community is at our heart. And so we've decided to postpone or suspend all of the small group activity that's here on campus, postpone or suspend all of the rental events that are going on. So the campus is essentially closed except for staff members and a couple of key personnel. So with that in mind, just know that we are here for you in spirit. I will be here every day. I've got the prayer chest here behind me. And if you have any need of prayer, please feel free to click on that prayer link right down below the video and send us a prayer request, and I'll be happy to hold that in prayer and hold you in prayer during this time. Everything's available online at unitypaloalto.org. So with that, let us all stand as we sing our songs. As we sing our songs today, we're going to begin with The Face of God. Face of God.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Here I am, Lord. I, the Lord of land and sea, I will let my people be free to join in harmony, their world to mend. I who made the stars so bright, guide my people through the night, and to share my light with them. Whom shall I send? Here I am,
Danielle. Well, welcome everyone. If you would like to connect with us, if this is your first or second time at Unity Palo Alto, right down below, there's an opportunity for you to click that connection card and send a message to us. And now we continue our service with a call to worship and a reading from the Daily Word.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
And now a reading from today's Daily Word. The word for the day is pray for others. And our affirmation, as I pray for others, I affirm unfolding good in their lives and in mine. Let us affirm that together. As I pray for others, I affirm unfolding good in their lives and in mine. Honored by the trust of those who request my prayers, I listen with compassion and then release all thoughts of illness, lack and limitation, or inharmony. Knowing that my responsibility is not to set the situation right, but to see things rightly, I look beyond challenging conditions and attune to the essential truth that the one for whom I pray is created in God's image and seeking to express God's likeness, just as all people are, just as I am. Knowing that the divine presence of the Christ, is present both in me and in the one for whom I pray, it restores wholeness in mind, body, and emotions, guiding all decisions, inspiring prospering ideas, and bringing harmony and peace to all relationships. From Psalm chapter 145, verse 18, the Lord is near to all who call him, to all who call him, the Lord, to all who call him in truth. As I pray for others, I affirm unfolding good in their lives and mine.
So many things we can't control, so many hurts that happen every day, so many heartaches that pierce the soul, so much pain that won't ever go away. How do we make it better? How do we make it through? What can we do when there's nothing we can do? We can be kind, we can take care of each other, we can remember that that deep down inside we all need the same thing. And maybe we'll find, if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. Nobody really wants to fight. Nobody really wants to go to war. If everyone wants to make things right, then what are we always fighting for? Does nobody want to see it? Does nobody understand? The power to heal is right here in our hand. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing. And maybe we'll find, if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. And it's not enough to talk about it, not enough to sing a song. We must walk the walk about it. You and I, do or die, we've got to try to get along. We can be kind. We can take care of each other. We can remember that deep down inside we all need the same thing. And maybe we'll find, if we are there for each other, that together we'll weather whatever tomorrow may bring. And maybe we'll find true peace of mind, if we always remember we can be kind.
And so it is. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Russell. Well, we are in the year 2020, and our theme for this year is Roaring 2020s. That is a spiritual roaring, a spiritual revolution, if you will. And it's an evolution of our consciousness. And the call to us right now is for us to rise up in consciousness, to lift our thoughts up to those ideas and thoughts that have meaning, those ideas and thoughts that spread this concept of love, that spread this idea of harmony, that allows us to be the expression of God that we are meant to be, the expression of that divine essence, our higher self, however you want to put it. And so that's our theme this year, is to rise up, to express our spiritual magnificence, to create a spiritual revolution. Now, each month we have a theme, and this month our theme is releasing and renewing. So we're releasing all of those things in our hearts and all of those things in our minds that are preventing us from being that wonderful, magnificent expression, that are preventing us from experiencing more good in our life, or experiencing joy in our life, or experiencing connection with other people. We're releasing all of those things so that we can renew ourselves in the divine presence of life, so that we can renew ourselves as divine love flows in and through each one of us, so that we can renew ourselves and express and experience that divine nature that is just yearning to express itself. Now, there are times you may have experienced lately. There are times in life when it gets a little dicey. It's a little challenging to express that, to be so spiritual all the time. Sometimes it's downright hard. Now, I'm not saying anything, but lately I was walking through my local grocery store and just seeing the chaos and the frustration that was there. And then I was driving by my local wholesale club store and just looking at the parking lot. It's like, I think I'm going to keep on going this time around. So there's that feeling of frustration, that feeling of anxiety that we're all experiencing here, especially in the Bay Area. There's a feeling of not feeling connected to each other, not feeling connected to spirit, or not knowing that we're one with the universe, that we're in the flow of life always. We forget it because there are times when we're distracted by all of the outer experiences of life. We're distracted by the things that are happening around us. Now, what's interesting is, when we get caught up in this distraction, we tend to live not from that core of our being. We tend to live from the circumference of our lives, right? We tend to live from the circumference of our consciousness, from the outermost areas of it. And just like a hurricane, the circumference, the outer edges of that consciousness is where all the pandemonium is happening, all the frustration, all of the anxiety, all of the damage is happening when we're living from that outer part of us. That might be our human part of us. We might call it our adverse ego, that part of us that is really focusing on all of the negativity, focusing on all of the challenges in our lives, focusing on what's lacking in our relationships, or what's lacking in our job, or searching for a job, or what's lacking in my retirement as I'm sitting around. What can I do to feel more connected? This wholesale club is a great example of that, because on the outer side in the parking lot, it is mayhem. There's just people, cars piled up. It took me 20 minutes to get in the parking lot and 20 minutes to get out. I didn't even go inside. But what happens is, once you find a spot, that's the main chaos, then you go inside. And the good news is people are only armed with shopping carts at that point. So now you're cruising along, all very stern, ready, finding your thing, getting going. And then you make it to the center of the storm, the eye of the hurricane that is that store experience, or that is that life experience. We get to the center there, and it's peaceful bliss. You get to the center where the teepee aisle, and there's no toilet paper. And all you see are people going, it's nice and calm, it's peaceful. Now, for me, it kind of made me want to take my cart and back out a little bit. I'm going to go the other way. But that's what it's like in our consciousness. When we are living from the circumference, when we're living in that experience of the anxiety and the fear and the misinformation, the unknowingness. And when there's an unknowingness in our lives, that's the time when we really need to be steadfast in our center. To be steadfast in our spiritual practices. To be steadfast in our mindfulness, our meditation. To be steadfast in our prayers. To be steadfast in applying spiritual principles in our lives every day. So that we can live more peacefully. So that we can be that eye, that calm and peace, regardless of what's happening around us. We can be that center, that calmness. Now, a lot of this external conditions that we're tying into, people will talk about, well, it's fear. We shouldn't be worried. We have too much fear. We have to get rid of the fear. And here's the thing. Fear, in and of itself, is not an issue. Fear is just an impulse within us that says something's wrong. The challenge are all of the thoughts, ideas, meaning-making, and beliefs that we have about that fear. That's where we get out of control. we start making up all kinds of stories, don't we? And then we have to call our friends so we can commiserate in our fear, so we can know that everyone else is feeling that fear as well. That gives us some sense of comfort, but that's still living from that circumference. That's still living in the experience of the hurricane, as opposed to being in the present moment, as opposed to being calm and peaceful in the eye of the storm. When we live from that idea, from the beliefs that we have about the fear, that's where the trouble comes into play. So my invitation to you is, when you're feeling that instinct of fear, because sometimes fear is a good thing. Sometimes, it's like, oh, there's a car coming at me. Maybe I better get out of the way. Or there's a saber-toothed tiger running at me. Maybe I'll get out of the way. Are there still saber-toothed tigers around? I don't think so. Maybe not. But that's the purpose of fear. And when we experience fear without those outer conditions happening, it's really just an indicator that there's something within me that needs to be healed. There's something within me that needs to be realigned with the presence and power of the universe, that realigned with God, realigned with my divinity, realigned with whatever word you want to choose. We need to realign those thoughts with what's real and what's true within us. And that's our task. Now, this month we're, of course, doing releasing and renewing. And so I'm using, again, this book, Fasting and Feasting, as our method to release and to renew. And so the first thing that we're going to do is release apathy. You know what happens when apathy sets in? When there's fear and unknowingness, we might have this sense of, okay, now what do I do? There's nothing I can do. We tend to get down on ourselves. We tend to, life kind of becomes this blanket or this gray fog when we have apathy. We don't have the energy to get up and do something. It drags us down and keeps us on the couch, or keeps us in bed, or keeps us from doing that which we're here to do, from doing that which brings us life. And so in this time, we're going to be fasting from apathy. We're going to release apathy. By fasting from apathy, from the notion that your life can't change, that you're without options or the power to make improvements. Fast from the temptation to complain about what you don't like and don't have. Whether thoughts you hold in mind or heart, whatever the thoughts you hold in mind or heart are going to flourish. Whatever we hold in there, wherever we're putting our faith, because those beliefs are the cornerstone of your power of faith, your power to bring these activities into manifestation. So wherever we put into our faith, into our consciousness, we have to release. We have to live differently. You have to think differently. Finally, fast from the idle fantasy that a life free from apathy is for other people. Joy and fulfillment are for everyone, and that includes you. So as we release that idea of apathy, we brush away the fog, whatever it is that's keeping us grounded or keeping us on the ground, keeping us from moving. We have to release those thoughts and those ideas. And as we do, we can feast on enthusiasm. We can renew ourselves with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm can begin to grow from even the most modest efforts, and can be as simple as changing your routines. Try taking a different meditation practice, add a new exercise to your workout, or take a class. Take an online class from Unity Palo Alto. Starting next week, I'm going to be putting out a lot of them. So check out the website. Enthusiasm doesn't happen because life is exciting. Enthusiasm is generated from within. When you feast on novelty, you grow curiosity. Feasting on curiosity leads to new interests, which ignites passion. When you feast on passion, you will know enthusiasm. So this week we're going to be fasting from apathy, feasting on enthusiasm. We're going to be fasting on feeling stuck, feeling the struggle, feeling abandoned, feeling of hopelessness. We're going to fast from feeling stuck and know the loving divine energy will rush into your consciousness as soon as you let go. And open your heart and open your mind to divine love, to divine inspiration. And as we do, we're going to feast on moving forward. Whether you're alone or someone is with you, feast on being alive. Spirit's life force surges through my veins like a rushing waters in a mountain stream. I can always count on Spirit to foster a feeling of aliveness within me, so I feast on it, like a hungry dog after a long run in the wood. Feast on moving forward. And finally, we're going to feast from limitation. Limitations that we perceive in our health, limitations that we perceive in our relationships, in our job, in our daily life, whatever limitations that we are having, we're consciously choosing to let go of them, consciously choosing to let go of the fear so that we can feast on freedom. So we can feast on that spiritual nature that is within us, that higher consciousness, that higher state of being within us. And as I feast on freedom, I'm feasting on my ability to reveal more and never less than my true self. I'm feasting on my ability to choose from my most authentic self, even when that choice leads me away from aspects of my life that are established and comfortable. In this moment, I feast on freedom, and I am made anew. Now, I have a practice for us. As always, we have a spiritual practice that I like to give you so that you can take this and use it when you're in that grocery store. So here's the practice. It's a little challenging for some. It might be, so I'm going to break it down for you. First step: breathe. Now, for most people, that will be an automatic thing. It's easy. The challenging part is that we're going to be taking mindful breaths. So be aware of your breath in, be aware of your breath out. Begin to have a mindful breath. And then as you become mindful of your breath, insert an affirmation. Insert the affirmation, I am peace. Now, as you get a sense of that I am peace within you, as you exhale and as you're breathing, smile. Now, that sounds simple. It's easy to do in the bathroom. I tried it the other day. No one was watching. You can try that if you want. The advanced lesson is to apply that when you're in the grocery store. Apply that when you are feeling the circumference of life, being that peaceful presence. I'll give you an example of how this works. I was in that grocery store. I had just checked out. I had my basket full of groceries. No to eat because they were out. But I was walking down the aisle, and it was very crowded. It was very crowded as you're walking in the front of the store. And there were people coming out in boxes over here, and I was coming along here. And a man was walking towards me, an older man, older than me. He must have been, 30. Anyway, an older guy was walking towards me, and he stops, and you can see, and you're kind of looking at me. I breathed. I smiled. I got a little cubby between boxes, pulled my cart sideways, and said, after you. The results were amazing. I could see physically his shoulders dropped. I could see he took a deep breath, he smiled and said, thank you, sir, and walked along. When you're at the grocery store, smile at the people who are bagging your groceries. Smile at the cashier, because my experience has been, I don't think anybody's been smiling at them lately. When you smile at them, I've done this a number of times, and people just need that connection. And just like the Daily Word said today, the smile is like a prayer. When you smile, you are giving a gift of love and kindness and compassion to someone else. And when you give that gift, you are filled up multiple times. You are filled up beyond capacity. And so our practice is very simple. Call your neighbors, call your family, call your friends. And when you're speaking to them, smile. Because your smile, that love that's transmitted from you gets transferred through that phone. When you're writing your email, go back through it and add some smiley faces. I don't know. If you're not into that, that's okay. But when you connect with people, even on the street, because right now as people are walking by, everyone has the same look. Everyone's worried about, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Can I get too close to this person? Take the opportunity, take just a moment to smile so that you can be that peaceful presence maybe in their entire life or in their entire day. The affirmation that we will affirm, now I lost my clicker because this is what happens when you give a minute, you give a minister too much power. Thank you, Nathan. Our affirmation is on the screen there, and it says, I think, in the face of fear, I speak words of peace, inspiration, and hope. I release apathy and limitations. I renew myself with love, enthusiasm, and freedom. Would you affirm that with me together? In the face of fear, I speak words of peace, inspiration, and hope. I release apathy and limitations. I renew myself with love, enthusiasm, and freedom. Let's take that into our time of prayer and meditation. Prayer is a very important, and meditation is a very important component of our spiritual practice, and so I invite you to just take this moment and take a nice, deep, cleansing, mindful breath. And as you relax into this breath, I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or simply soften your gaze. With each breath, we release all of the fears, all of the concerns, all of the thoughts and beliefs that we've been holding on to. With each breath, we renew ourselves with the idea of divine inspiration, of infinite possibilities, of health and wholeness, knowing our oneness with the divine and with each other. And with each breath, we allow that radiant light of love to shine through us, to shine as us, in the stillness, in the silence. Fasting from darkness, let us rise and be agents of hope and harmony. With the energy of love unfurled, let us send light around the world and see the unlimited, divine possibilities. One in spirit, let us embrace all with the healing power of grace and know, with love is how God's garden grows. And with a nice, deep, cleansing breath, let us give thanks for this experience, for this knowing our divine essence of life. And let us celebrate by singing the Alleluia.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia,
cleansing breath, I invite you to return your attention to this space, to this time, if you haven't already done so. Gently open your eyes and just allow that sense of love, that sense of appreciation, that sense of joy, that sense of peace to be your guide and to well up within you. Unity Palo Alto is committed to helping people live life better through spiritual growth and spiritual practices. We're here to help you do life better. And wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If this is your first or second time visiting us at Unity Palo Alto online, it certainly is the first or second time. If you'd like to connect with us, you can click on the connection card that's right down below the video. You can also click on the prayer request if you'd like to send us a prayer request. We will hold that in prayer, and at the beginning of the month we send it to Silent Unity, where it's holding continual prayer for 30 days. It's now time for us to practice that, step into that spiritual practice of giving and receiving, allowing the divine flow of life, the rich substance of life to flow through us, to us, through us, and as us. And so I invite you to prepare your love offering, however you give it to us. Prepare your donation. If you give automatically each month, I just invite you to bring to mind that love that you have for our spiritual community, that love that you have for each other. And if you'd like, you can click on the donate button right below the screen to donate online. Send us a check. We are here for you. We will be here throughout this experience that we're currently experiencing, and we will be here when you get back. And with that, the affirmation that we say will be on the screen in just a moment. It is right there. I invite you to affirm our affirmation together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is.
Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name, when I call on the light within, I go home. Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name, when I call on the light within, I go home. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light, call on the light. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light within. I call on the light, call on the light, call on the light within. Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name, when I call on the light within, I go home. Hari Om, dear Lord, Satanam, holy name, when I call on the light within, I go home. Call on the light within. Call on the light within. Call on the light. Call on the light. Call on the light within. Ooh. I call on the light within.
Well, we are so blessed. We're so blessed by your willingness to turn on my microphone. We're so blessed by your willingness to be with us today. Thank you so much for sharing your love and your appreciation with this spiritual community. And so we bless these gifts. We bless all of the gifts that you've given of your time, your talent, and your treasure to help this spiritual community, to help this spiritual center thrive. For we are one with the divine flow of life, and we know that through whatever we give in love, we receive with love, pressed down, shaken together, overflowing with love. We surround our prayer chest with our love. And if there's somebody who you hold in prayer, I invite you to say their name out loud now or bring their name to mind. For all of the names in our hearts and all of the names in our prayer chest, we know that divine love is doing its perfect work here and now. Divine love is doing its perfect work to help each person discover that spiritual magnificence within them, to discover that sense of spiritual wholeness that they already are, to lift them up in times of sadness, to express and experience that divine center of joy. We know that each person is experiencing that right now. We hold this same prayer for our leaders, our national, world, national, state, and local leaders, seeing them making wise and loving decisions for peace on earth, equality, justice for all people. And for this time together, for this celebration of joy, we are joyfully grateful. We are richly, richly blessed. I would like to end this prayer with a prayer that I used in the meditation. It was written by my mom and sent to me. I'd like to say this and allow this to be, to feel the energy of love going out to the entire world. Fasting from darkness, let us rise and be agents of hope and harmony. With the energy of love unfurled, let us send light around the world and see the unlimited divine possibilities. One in spirit, let us embrace all with the healing power of grace and know love is how God's garden grows. And so it is. And now is our time to sing.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each other and lift each other in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now our prayer for protection. Prayer for protection. Prayer. There it is. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a blessed and wonderful week. Namaste.